I won you in a bet with a lion. You should thank me, for he did not appreciate you as I do. He bought you from a beggar, for a sly grin and a snarl. He always makes those kinds of deals. And took you to his den, only to leave you on a shelf where you rested, empty and hollow. Under circumstances quite precarious, I met you there, in that lion's den, where I prepared to become empty and hollow for you. I was strolling the city before a heavy storm that could have filled the city to its brim when a prowling shadow approached me and inquired through tooth and fang how I had become so lost. "Don't know," I said, and he grinned. "Come to my den," the shadow said, "and I will make you warm." The city was soon to flood, and I would soon catch cold and death. Yet my mother always told me not to trust shadows that come from alleyways, as this one now did. The creature revealed itself, golden with prideful jaws, and eyes filled with greed and hunger that fed more on sadism than fodder. This creature was the lion, city-famed, renowned, and widely feared, whose ill reputation persuaded me to search harder for escape. Maybe I could find a retreat, back down the streets, through the alley, safe from the coming flood, to some place, any place, where lions only ate other lions and happily left me alone. But I had no escape from the lion, or the coming flood. So reluctantly, I agreed, as no one can truly refuse a lion, and followed him to his den, where I met you. The den, of course, was hidden. You and I already knew that. Smoke obscured the outside, so no one could discover his lair. Objects littered the walls and floors inside, all obtained in moments of caprice and malice. This is where we met, remember? You waited on his shelf for me, empty, hollow, and aged, because he didn't care for you, as I now do. The lion gave me a tour of his home, so very proud of his possessions, and shared with me where he kept some of the world's greatest secrets. He prized the faces of all the things he ate and kept them in a toy box he got from I don't know where. He threw the bones away because a structure without spirit will always fall, he said. A magpie would make its nest in his abode if it could find the place, and the magpie would happily pay rent if it weren't afraid of prowling shadows. Crystals and baubles, gold and jewels, antiques and heirlooms. He was a dragon that delighted in all of his treasure, except for you. The lion told me a story about the beggar and how you were, upon acquisition, empty and hollow, and barely worth the shelf space. I asked why he still kept you, and he replied, "At first, when it failed to impress me, it was simply a placeholder for a future memory that I would one day own. It would stand for all the things I ever wanted. Then I realized that was not meant to be, so I cherished this thing for all that it is not." He showed me the rest of his collection of everything until the storm had passed. I looked to him and mentioned that the storm was over and that I would like to leave. Then, dread met in measure by the lion's delighted expression warned me. My life was in peril. "I will not let you leave, as I have never collected something so alive ever before. But I must leave. The flood is past, and you've kept me warm as promised. Did I neglect to say? I also meant to keep you. The lion grinned and swished his tail, taunting me with sharp teeth. I cut to the chase. What would you have of me? I would keep you, of course, as my pet, till you withered and died. Then I will eat your flesh and keep your face as a reminder of the serendipity of our encounter. Being no fool, I knew I could not escape, so I thought to offer more than I had. Can we make a trade? I stuttered, hesitant. My wealth far exceeds your own. I am nobility to your peasantry. What could you ever offer? My compliance, I said, and the lion's ears perked. You can consume part of me at your leisure, and I will watch. After a brief moment of consideration, he replied, A trade is far too simple. We will make this a game. If I win, I will keep you until you bore me, and then I will eat your limbs up as you watch. But, he paused, if you win, you may leave. My life is not enough, I argued. Let me take that as well. I pointed to you in hopes to gain your freedom and mine. Why? The lion queried. There is nothing interesting about it, and I should know. I bought it. You might think that, but neither the beggar nor I agree with you. There is a mystery to it that I will unravel. Very well, the lion declared. But know now that the stakes are raised. If I win, I will eat all of your life and limbs as I make you watch. And if you win, you may take yourself and that thing with you. He gently plucked a die between his teeth and placed it in a cup, then knocked it over with a swipe of his paw to roll and hide the die. Call it even or odd. Choose right, your life you'll have and that thing too. Choose wrong, your life I'll have and your flesh you'll lose. The lion swished his tail impatiently and stretched his claws, kneading the carpet, urging my decision. I paused, I cautiously thought, and considered what kind of trap he brought. Within his web of cunning and sadism, I refused to be caught. Dice are random, but my choice was not, so I deliberated whether it was rigged to be even or odd. The lion licked his jaws as he watched for my resolve to bend, to waver, to break under the pressure of this game's bite. Ugh, even or odd, he groaned. I tried to remember and scoured my memory. What numbers had I seen on the die before he trapped it beneath the cup? I drew a blank and could not recall if each side was unique or one number covered them all. Even or odd, he groaned. Or surrender to become my pet. I resigned that my decision would have no rationale. It was up to chance whether I be living or dead. Yet, if I chose even over odd, and I became his death-bound pet, odd would have saved and I would have won his bet. This was neither fortune nor fate acting alone, but both together, complicating my decision and loudening the lion's groan. Even or odd, even or odd, the lion snarled. I started, then stuttered, stammered, then muttered as I collected myself and finally uttered. Odd. The lion lifted the cup, and we both gazed beneath. For a moment we were equals, wishing and hoping for our own success at the expense of the others. Odd, he declared in dismay. And so your freedom and mine had been won. Unless, of course, the rules of the game had changed. I worried that the lion might go back on his word, because my mother always told me never to trust a lion. But the lion surprised me and said, I will not betray my word. I have too much pride for that. This is when I touched you, gingerly. I touched you sweetly. as I removed you from his shelf and wiped the dust off you. He beckoned me with his eyes, and I didn't dawdle. I hurried to follow him, and he led me, us, out of his lair. Without a word, he left us, and you and I were gone from that place, and we found ourselves in a damp city. It could have been dry, but I never would have noticed. That's where I explored you, to learn your secrets. You may have wanted to thank me for being heroic. I did save you, but don't. It's too late. It was always too late for heroism. It's been years since I saved you, and I have come closer to understanding the beggar's insight by becoming him. The city is now our home, and the sky is my roof. And although it's quite leaky, we're together, you and I. I have learned that you are not what you first seemed. You are not the shiny, decorative exterior, nor the smooth, sometimes bitter blood. Those simply obfuscate you, the real you, from everyone else but me. I only find you when I remove the blood from your prison, but it's best not to simply pour and waste. And when I found you, it is always a sad, sobering experience. I've made it my mission to rescue you from each and every glass castle. But it's too late, like I've said, for heroism. I hardly remember your rescues anymore, beyond the very first. Still, none care for you as deeply as I do. I am yours. I am not my own. Now, like the lion, I groan in impatience, waiting for someone to come along so I can trade a snarl and a sly grin for some happiness. But to you, I am faithful. To you alone. Each expedition to free you has become slower, less resolute, yet not less fervent, because each time I meet you, I know that I am staring at the end. Now, like the lion, I stretch my claws. Like the lion, I wish I had chosen even over odd.